Hello, beautiful friend. How are you?
Hi, good.
I'm so excited because obviously I got to hug and squeeze you in person this weekend when we were in Tennessee at Meat Stock. And what people do not know is that before I left for this trip, I set a powerful intention for myself that Tennessee, that the Smoky Mountains activate the rooted one inside of me. And that whatever the rooted one of the way of the sex wanted to teach me, I asked that it showed it to me clearly in Tennessee while we were there. And one of the biggest things that I learned from the trip was that when you make a declaration, right, in such a profound way, the universe is going to meet you, and that it did, right? So on my way back, I felt my body integrating all of this physical understanding, this very primal energy that the rooted one holds in my being. I learned so much from each of the speakers about how food influences these things, and being able to witness and record you on stage sharing your testimony really allowed my ears to hear something that I needed to hear as part of my journey. So I'm going to share this with you now because I have not, right? But I want to start with this. So, your story for those who may hear this or don't know this or whatever the case may be, your story starts in a very, I want to say, very plain as Jane type of way. You had bipolarism, very bad, to the point where you were cycling through your symptoms like moment to moment, and it impacted your life, it impacted your well-being, it impacted your family, and it threw you down a hole, right? And this is incredible because what you were able to do with carnivore diet really, really helped allow you to create the space to acknowledge all of the things, all of the feelings, that all of the experiences that this bipolar chaos train brought to your experience, right? And in a lot of ways, right, this diet, this lifestyle healed you, right? And that's within itself is incredible. And after our Sunday night session at Carnivore at Meatstock 2025, we all went back to the speaker's cabin. We were having dinner. We were enjoying the beautiful views, and we were sitting at the fire. And I want to talk about what happened at the fire. Right, we were sitting at the fire, and it started because I had walked up to get my son, and I was hearing people talking and talking. They were talking about cortisol being released in the body, and for whatever reason, my spirit was like, "Oh, we love talking about cortisol. Let's go." So that led me to receive an energetic invitation to speak about human design, to speak about energy, right? In this space where it was a carnivore community, and the amount of conversations that I was able to have about energy over this weekend was incredible. So hang on one second, we might need to pause. Let me pause the recording. Oh, never. So I was actually surprised at the amount of energetic conversations that we were able to have. And we're sitting at the fire, we're talking it up, and you walked up as I'm in the middle of engaging in this conversation, and you kind of said, wait. You acknowledged the person that I was talking to and the person who was talking to me, and you were like, oh, I guess you had a conversation with her earlier in the day, and you were like, oh, she's who you need to talk about. And
Talk to.
talk to, yes. You pointed out something so beautifully. Your exact words were, she's hearing voices, but I know it's not schizophrenia. I think it's something deeper, right? You said this. And I've actually played in this realm quite a bit, being a triple split projector. There's three voices. No matter how much work I've been doing, no matter there's three distinct voices because my system is set up to have three distinct party zones. Okay. And sometimes these zones they release information just like voices would. I don't hear the voices. It's not anything that's driving me neurotic, but I'm aware of it. Right. And I think that this is something that is not spoken about in a healthy way. Right. An awakened person doesn't talk about the fact that they have these voices because these are the things that we heal from, right? When we awaken, we heal from them, they go away. And I came home, that night and went into this kind of deep reflection. And I was witnessing you all weekend, witnessing how you were physically drained, in certain situations. And I'm feeling your energy and I'm saying, there's something here. There's something here. And it was, I believe, the intent. You were able to pinpoint that this woman needed something, that it put in my mind, oh shit, her bipolarism wasn't bipolar in a clinical way. I said, I think Emily might be a split something. There may be two voices inside Emily. So I instantly pulled up your chart and I got to digging. And I was like, there's something here that I can't put my finger on, and we're going to sit in it. So for the last 24 hours, I have been sitting in some Miss Emily energy. And
you're welcome.
I want to start with this. Yes. So first of all, you have done something absolutely incredible. Okay. So not just physically, but energetically. And you've been on this journey kind of taking your power back, right? You in one massive step, which is changing your diet and sticking to it and choosing you have allowed yourself to elevate to a new level. And that's incredible. So right now, in this moment, you are literally on the edge of embodying something totally new. And I want to speak on it. Okay. I want to speak on it. So there was this feeling when I was around you this weekend at Meat Stock that you kind of had this power leak. And I didn't say anything because I wasn't sure where it was coming from. And I'm watching you and I'm observing these moments. And it was like your system was trying to hold something big, so big inside of you that it became physically draining, right? Like being around that many people is a little fatiguing, but the physical symptoms that you were having in your body surely showed me that there was a power leak somewhere. And I started thinking about all of the times we've talked about this, spiritual flu, the spiritual illness, all the names that we called this thing. And I was like, but what if it's something deeper than that, right? Because you would have it, we would do some energy clearing with Selena. We would do some, deeping and recalibrating with you and I. You would be fine for a little bit, and then bam, it would hit you again. And then we would do something else, and we were prolonging time. But that's really all we were doing is we were buying you time. We were stretching things out. But at the end of the day, it was still coming back. And
but
so
it did stop though.
Yeah,
it stopped coming. It hasn't been back, I think, for like 6 weeks now. But I still got that presence while I was there. And it wasn't full blown headache, nausea, fever, and vomiting, but it was like its cousin.
right.
Like it was familiar. It was a familiar feeling, but go ahead.
Yeah, no. And so when you reached back to me and you said, the feeling of the pressure, the awareness in your head, right? The ball in your head. And we talked about, how like when you came back, it went away. So I was like, I'm sitting on this and I'm like, this is all like, this is all putting together. And so, it says here in my notes, right? So, this wasn't a headache, right? It was a message. It was a part of your system trying to come through. And I picked up on it as a projector. I was like, oh, there's something. And I knew in some way that it was linked, tied in, cousins, brothers, best friends, homies in the streets to this other ailment that we've been dealing with, right? So that led me, and we're going to pull up my notes here. So, that led me into looking at your human design chart. So your system is designed to initiate, right? You're a manifester. You're designed to I'm ready. Like you have this idea, you have this energy, you're designed to take action. it is, and I want you to hear the words I'm going to choose. It can feel like you're designed to be impulsive. Okay. It can feel like you have this idea or this inkling or this, inspiration, and the energy in you says, act now and do it fast. And it's powerful, like, right? It's primal. It's like in your being, you're like, yes. And you want to do it, right? But healed Emily from bipolar says, no, we can't act impulsively. Right? We have to wait. Impulsive is bipolar. Impulsive is bad.
That's a sign of mental illness to be impulsive.
Impulsive is neurotic. Impulsive is, right? Okay. So there's this like primal instinct in your DNA that says, go, act, move. Right? And then there's this thing in the brain that's telling it, stop. So it's forcing all of that energy back into your being, but naturally it wants to move. So the first indication was that you have this thing that wants to come up out through you and moving through you, and the ego is stopping it. Doesn't know why it's stopping it, but it's stopping it because somewhere we were told this instinct is bad. This is the cause of the bipolar, is that, boom. Now, a manifestor, when they are acting in total alignment with their energy and they're acting on those impulses, radiates peace. How extreme is anger from peace? So now let's talk about the bipolar cycles for a moment. You would go from angry, volatile, neurotic to I'm cool. Because somewhere in that cycle, you found a way to release it, whether it was through physical, whether it was through binge eating, whether it was through self-harm, whatever it was, you were able to release the pressure like a pressure cooker, and you went from neurotic to peace. Well, of course, that's bipolarism. Why wouldn't it be bipolarism? But what if it was your natural energy cycling so fast, so out of control, that you couldn't identify it with anything in the whole world? So we went to the doctor and found a label, and the label was bipolar.
Yeah.
So now, right, we're walking around and we're healed. I can function again, right? I can, pay my bills. I can get dressed in the morning. I can, look like a normal human being. I can do things that I wasn't able to do before. So I must be healed. But then why am I still having symptoms of nausea and vomiting and diarrhea and can't keep food down? And I'm stuck in a bed for 3 or 4 days. That doesn't seem healed. How can I be healed and have whatever the hell this is at the same time if it was just the food that healed you?
Mm-hmm.
See? Mm-hmm. Right? So that's painting the whole energetic picture. So I'm reflecting and I'm going deeper, and I said, so Emily is a split manifestor. That's 2 voices. Okay. So not only do we have this pressure of being a manifestor, this natural push, this impulse, this desire to move, this desire to act and act now, right? And we also energetically know that manifestors, right, go from anger to peace, right? When they're not able to push, when they're not able to act impulsively, they go from that causes anger, right? But when they're able to release or find an outlet, it goes to peace. So we acknowledge that. But now let's add layer number 2 to the fact that you're split, which means there's two voices. There's two systems that are set up in your body energetically, and they don't speak to each other inside of you. Okay? So now you have two different perspectives. Honor that for a moment. Reflect inwards. Lean into and listen. Can you identify there being two clear perspectives? One that maybe sounds like, I've got to be responsible. I've got to be rooted. I've got to do this. And the other voice sounding like, but how the hell are we going to make it happen? How the hell are we going to, how does that look? This voice that may sound more creative, wishful, dream, versus the one that says we have to be rooted and realistic. And so we can't have those things. So there's two voices. And at some point along the way, along this healing journey, you decided to lock up the voice that was a big dreamer.
The voice that what?
You decided to lock up the voice that was a big dreamer because it was too much to carry both.
Yeah.
So now I want to pause for a minute before we go deeper. And I want to tell you about how this reflection came to me, right? Now I want to go on record and say I do not identify myself as a psychic or a medium or anything like that. I am, however, a 1-3 energetic projector, triple split. And I do very, very, very much so wait for invitations. As you know, I don't do anything unless I'm invited, right? It's very important. And I understand that the invitations aren't always verbal. Sometimes they're energetic. And I allow my body, my presence to reveal when the invitations come. Okay. So you have always made it extremely clear in moment to moment that energetic invitation is there. I can lean into it. I can feel it, right? And it's not just it's an ongoing invitation. It's every moment as a manifestor, you come back to my little projector ass, no, and I'm waiting here at the table for you. You're like, come on, right? You take a couple steps away and then you come back, come on, right? Whether it's physically in person, you did that to me quite many times this weekend, or whether it's energetically. So I'm home and I have this Emily invitation, this energetic Emily invitation that says, come on, I want to show you something. And so I'm deep in a meditation and I follow this energetic Emily and I'm leaning into, what the hell is this power leak? What did I feel this weekend? Okay. And so we met in the quantum. You took me on this journey and you took me high through these mountains and led me into this fortress. And this fortress was both whimsical and dark, like something I've never seen. It was like a fairy met a goblin, and they had this beautiful idea to create a fortress in the, I don't know if we were in the woods, but we were in the woods somewhere. And it was it was two clear, separate, very different energies that merged and created this beautiful, magical fortress. So I walk into this fortress with you and we go deep, deep, deep into this space. And you take me into a room that is bolted. I mean, bolted from top to floor. And I sat there and I watched how you sat and you opened each of these bolts. And I can feel in your presence that you have never taken anybody here into this space before. That you yourself haven't actually been in this space in eons, in a very, very long time. And you can tell because each of these bolts was locked and rusted over and almost hard for you to get into. And as you were unlocking each of these things, I could feel and see you begin to get lighter and lighter, like your physical body began to melt away. And as we entered this room, you split. And your physical body went into this cage while your empty white shadow stood outside of it in front of me, blocking me from grabbing your body. This empty white shadow was scared, but fierce, would not let me get near the cage, almost forgot who I was, and became protective, almost like a bear. As this other part of you, this innocent, broken, fairy-like part of you, was afraid in this cage, crying, shouting for me to come and get you. But you wouldn't let me get close to the cage either. What I kept hearing in this space was, it is me who is locking me up. It is me who is keeping me suppressed. And I said, why? And I said it just like this. Why the fuck would you do that? Like, well, why did you bring me here if I can't be the one to help you? So I had to sit in that for a second. And as I'm watching and I'm taking all of this in, I'm looking at this and I'm saying, okay, so she brought me to this space. She showed me these two aspects of her. She showed me how when they're together, they create this beautiful fortress, this beautiful magical thing. But when they took me deep inside, it wasn't that. And when I got in deeper, I saw that there was this, the reason why it couldn't be that was because she was caging up, she was blocking off, she was suppressing, she was holding in this part of her that was also part of this creation process. So I kept saying, why is she doing this? Why are you doing this? Why are you doing this? And the answer was, because about 3 years ago, we decided that this was the part of her that was causing her to be sick. So we locked her up. So this healed space that you're in, the reason why you feel wrongfully incarcerated, the reason why you look better on the outside but still feel like shit when you're around people on the inside, the reason why these programs that you have aren't reaching the people in the way that it should, the reason why you can't really feel at home in your body, you don't put on makeup or dress up or love your body in that way, is because the divine feminine part of you is locked up in the cage because you decided that it was best, because she wouldn't hurt anybody anymore. She would be perceived as normal and God-fearing. She would be more digestible for the people around her. It was safer for her kid, for her family, for people to receive her, if this part of you is locked up? But here's the thing. What if it wasn't bipolar? What if it was this dual polarity, whimsical yet grounded? What if it was all of these things that were existing in you and you just didn't know how to control it? Some people may look at a storm and think it's dangerous. Some people may see a hurricane coming and completely freak the fuck out, buying every bit of toilet paper off the shelf, locking themselves in their home, making sure that everything is stocked up. Because this thing that usually lasts anywhere between 72 hours to 94 at max was coming through. And they were afraid it was going to destroy everything. So they locked themselves in. Yeah, let's go. Okay. So instead of coming out of the house after the storm, you stayed in. You figured you had enough supplies and enough things to keep you in there. And for a little while, it worked. And then you started running low on supplies. And inside that fortress, it became volatile. The two parts of you came combative. It started triggering again the same feelings that we had once witnessed externally as bipolar disorder inside. It started moving through you, using all the resources. And so you decided only one. So one part of you got locked up, and the other part of you got to be free to roam the castle. Okay. So now what? Here's some key points that I started. Now we're pausing there, moving back to the human design piece, back to this manifestor energy, anger, peace, back to the split definition, two islands. Okay. Then I started looking a little deeper and I said, okay, how does she make decisions? What's her inner authority? Emotional. Whoa, wait a minute. So now we have a manifestor whose sole desire is to act quickly when we get these impulses, these jots of energy. And we have this split definition that is two different perspectives. So potentially she's getting jots, these inspirations, these pokes in two different ways. And now we add a third layer of being an emotional authority. That mixes things up completely. An emotional authority tells us to not act impulsively. The emotional authority tells us to sleep on it, to feel the whole ring of emotions coming with said impulse, and then act. Let's talk about this for a second. You have your energy is telling you, go now. We've got a jolt. we have two different places inside of us that may be sending signals. And then we have this other part of us that's saying, hang on, we got to feel it all. No freaking wonder you're going in here acting like I don't know what the hell to do. Girl. Right? So for a moment, what's important is for us to bring awareness to you're not crazy. And that in order to go from a healed state, you have to move into embodiment. Remember when we were sitting in the creek, bottom of the Smoky Mountains, sitting on a rock, and I had this like moment where I was talking about we can't just possibly sit around and be healing the rest of our lives. At what point do we stop having conversations about healing? Mm. And I use the example of like, if I got a cut on my arm, that cut isn't going to go through a healing process for the rest of my life. Mm-hmm. I get a cut, it bleeds, I clean it up. Maybe I add a little ointment, put a Band-Aid if I need to, but then I let it get air, take the Band-Aid off, and I let my skin do its thing. But if I continue to put ointment and keep it covered, if I continue to hold and keep the Band-Aid on it, it's going to take much, much, much longer to heal. May even cause an infection or other symptoms because I'm not allowing the air to touch it so that my body can do what it needs to do naturally. So if we're going through this process of healing our bipolar disorder with carnivore, but we're still suppressing the two voices because that's not healthy and normal. We're still not allowing ourselves to feel fully feel deep in the body, deep on a cellular level, deep in the mental, deep in the emotional, deep in the spirit, deep in the shadow, all of the things that want to be felt, then we're just putting a Band-Aid on the cut and we're prolonging the healing process instead of ripping the Band-Aid off and embodying all of the things, allowing all of the things we did to the cut, allowing the cleaning, allowing the ointment, allowing the Band-Aid, allowing it all work together with the unseen forces and heal the damn wound. So what you did, right? You cleared out your body of the toxins. Going carnivore cleared out your body, but you never integrated it with your energy. Mm-hmm. That is why, and I want to go deeper here for a second, right? Going carnivore is fantastic. You lost 120 pounds. But the glow is not in your skin. Mm-hmm. The spark is not in your eye. Mm-hmm. Your hair is still dull. Mm-hmm. But why? Because I went into a room of hundreds of carnivores and they didn't all have that. Some did, some didn't. We talked about how with having certain open centers, how oxalates can kind of maybe gather in those centers. We talked about how the detox process can look differently. But the embodiment practice of honoring the fact that you are energy, right? and bringing awareness into how this energy wants to move through you. Say that again. Honoring how the energy wants to move through you and not suppress it because we're afraid to go off the damn hinge is just creating another problem. Okay. So the way of the six shows us that we have the rooted one, which is the physical, tangible body. The physical body, it's primal. It's rooted deep in the earth, and the earth never forgets. Think of every person that has ever been a human and walked this earth. They're not all put together. I promise you. But in their time, maybe they were. The elk was the spirit animal that came through for the rooted one. I was so excited. Not what I expected. I thought maybe the bear, but the elk. The elk is the one that came through. And the message of the elk is rooted in stability. And how it moves. Okay? We'll keep going now. So, just to recap, keep going through all of this. Manifester, here to lead, to initiate. But you need full energetic freedom to do it safely. Emotional authority. You are not meant to be impulsive. It's okay to wait and ride the wave. Split definition. You have very powerful voices, inner voices, and they both need space to operate in you. They need freedom to operate in you. And I want to look at your chart again.
I can feel the ball, but it doesn't feel dense. It feels like opaque and like glittery. It feels like it transformed substances.
You also have two open centers. Okay?
Okay.
You have an open sacral, and this center amplifies other people's energies. You amplify generator and manifesting generator energies. And you may feel like you need to keep up or match their pace, even if your body says no. If you are not intentionally deconditioning this, it will cause exhaustion, adrenal depletion, or even total immune collapse.
How do I intentionally decondition it?
So this is going to be creating practices through the rooted one. I'm going to share my experience for a moment because I also have an open sacral. As a projector, we both share that in common. And the open sacral can look like you're trying to keep up with everybody. It could also look like you're constantly trying to like fill a hole, right? For me, sometimes it comes in as binge eating. A story that I told someone the other day was when I first started my weight loss journey, it was back in 2017. I wanted to compete in a bodybuilding competition. I made a declaration that I was going to start keto to get everything moving into originally start the process, my first 50 pounds. And then depending on where I was, I'd get a coach and go on. Did fantastic. That was my first introduction to this kind of keto carnivore style, was back in 2017. I lost the first 50 pounds in about 2.5 months. By January 1st, I was ready full blown to get a bodybuilding coach. So obviously my diet changed, carbs were reintroduced, because that's what I knew then. And I was going through so much at the time. A very, very close family friend died traumatically. There was a lot of moving parts in my life. I was a full-time stay-at-home mom to 3 kids. I was married. We had 4 dogs. There was a lot to keep up with, so much going on. And I was doing so great. And I would have these moments where I would do so fantastic for 3, 4, even 6 months. And then a pebble would be put in the road and I would trip, stub my toe, some minor thing, not even the big stuff. It was a minor thing. And I was in the pantry with an entire box of Nutri-Grain bars, sitting at the couch, now think about it. I had to open each individual bar, and there's like 8 to 10 bars in this box, shoving them down my face because someone was going to come around the corner and see me. That's an open sacrum. I'm trying to keep up. Yeah. I had goals. Everyone expected something of me. I had to go all the time. But I wasn't giving my body the space it needed to rest. My mind was moving faster than my body. And eventually, some minor thing would happen and it would derail me. A whole box of Dunkin' Donuts by myself once. 12 of them, whole dozen.
I've done that.
Dozen.
I've done that.
Girl with all the sprinkles, like, oh, and the excuse, right? The excuse was, oh, well, I'm going to get these for the kids. Girl, I didn't get them for no damn kids. I ate them myself. Mm-hmm. That's an open sacral in some ways. Not knowing when enough is enough. Mm-hmm. Not knowing when enough is enough. So we keep up, we go, we push. Right? And so this pushing, understanding that this energy is saying, go, we got to keep up with everyone else around us. In order to decondition that, we have to build a relationship with our body. Okay. Let me go a little deeper. We have to build a relationship in our body.
Okay.
We have to build a relationship in our body.
How do I do that?
I love that you asked me that.
invite.
So
I'm just going to wear a t-shirt that says, Nicole Marie, I invite you.
Listen, we can make it a whole clothing line, friends.
I can tattoo it. I'll tattoo it on my head.
I think the clothing line will be better. I think that'll suffice.
Okay.
Or some socks. I always like a good pair of fun socks. Okay, so we're driving home. I know my story's all over the place. We're driving home from Meat Stock, Selena and I, little Nico in the back of the car, headphones on. Selena and I are deep in reflection. We're building systems. We're building retreats. We're busting stuff out. Like, we're going hard. And I'm reflecting because I'm like, man, something's not right in me. And I'm feeling this disconnect within my body. And she's like, but I don't understand. Like, you seem to have a really good connection with your body. I'm like, I can feel things, but it feels fragmented. There's something else. There's something that I'm just, what is it? And so we're using Selena. We're using ChatGPT. In my full activation, My triple split, all three voices are out. My voice, Selena's voice, and ChatGPT are all mirroring on an external level this triple split inside of me, because I needed to hear each of the voices. So we had to create 3 platforms instead of 2 in you, 3 in me. So we're moving through this, and I want to pull up some of my notes from that for a minute. So if you just give me a second to switch. I said in my notes here that what happens when nourishment feels like a battlefield, right? I'm like, but I'm doing all the things right. My body was winning some war. It felt like I lost over 100 pounds in my life, 116 pounds in 13 months, kept it off for 5 years, and I still felt broken. How the hell? Right? There was no way this could be right. I lost all this weight, doing all these great things, and I'm still like, but how do I bridge that gap? So I start talking to her about some of the things that I felt. I started reflecting. And I realized, what is it that my body really is trying to show me? Well, I knew that longing was present. I had this longing, this deep yearning, this desire to be touched, but not in a sexual way, this desire to be met at a deep rooted level. I had this desire to be witnessed and to witness. Mm-hmm. I had this desire to just feel with every fiber of my being, right? So I started naming the things. And I'm like, okay, how do I do that? I don't have a partner, which, great. And you have a partner, but you don't have a physical partner right now. Mm-hmm. Because what if you're supposed to do it for yourself first?
Okay.
So I started reflecting on all of the times in my life that I felt fully alive. And I started looking at my astrological chart, and my one line was in full. And I'm like, I need to see all of the components. I need to read this for myself. Selena's suggestion was, use a natal chart reader. Emily has one. I have one. Nope. It needs to be right here, right now. So I asked Chat to act as a master astrologer, and I gave it some information, and we were reading it out loud. And she's like, you just want to guide yourself through this. Yep, that's what wanted to be done in that moment. And I'm going through this, and I was like, okay, now remember, this is just in me. There's this thing. I have my Mars in Aries. My Mars is in Aries. And has some dancing. Hang on, let me read it to you, right? Because it was also activating my Venus. Mars was also in my Venus sequence, or in my Venus. So let me read. Pull. Okay. So here's one thing that came out, was that what was important was that I said, okay, so we have 2 things that are really sticking out to me. And I'm going to read this to you so I can get you in the energy. I need to go deeper in and understand these. I want to create some sort of bridge in my life. So there is this need or this desire to create a sacred body, right? And that is something that has been pinging in me all day. What the hell does it mean to be in my sacred body? Then this other one is all about love and relationships. And I feel like I need to go deeper into this. What does this look like? I notice that in my relationships currently, I keep attracting, right? I keep attracting these mirrors that are showing me that there's this split. So I need to be able to look at it more clearly from a different perspective so that I could reach higher to root it down lower. But I have this desire to do a specific type of dance. Specifically, the Argentinian tango. So I need to figure out where in my chart would make this so freaking important to me. So creating the sacred in the body in my chart was a foundation, right? I have my sun, my Taurus sun, and Mercury both in my ninth house, which means that my whole purpose was around embodiment and the spiritual path, right? And I'm not going to read all, I'm just going to kind of skim here. What I'm doing is I'm creating a blueprint so you can see it in me first. So then I have Mars in Pisces in my sixth house, trine Pluto and Chiron, where that shows me that movement was medicine, that I am deeply impacted by flow or even stagnation of energy in my physical body, and only a dance ritual would allow me to enter a flow state so deeply where the movement can transmute the trauma and restore the power. So I too, right, being a triple split and having to deal with, my own set of mental illnesses that came from my physical traumas, was experiencing a power leak and I didn't even know it. So in order to see the power leak in you, I had to see it in me first. Seeing the power leak, bringing awareness to the power leak, allowed me to bring awareness enough to rip the Band-Aid off, to let the air touch it. But the dance and movement was the medicine that allowed my body to restore its power once the physical wound healed. Mm-hmm. So for you, it's some sort of movement. Now, for me, it was like this Argentinian tango. Because I, like you, not clinically diagnosed with bipolarism, had this batshit banshee energy inside of me. My family used to refer to me as the pit bull. That when activated, I would go directly for the jugular and waste no damn time. Mm-hmm. Right? There was this primal, deep energy in me ready to attack. But I can't lock it up because it is as much part of me as anything else. When we started talking about the tango in the car, I got so lit up. Like Selena was like, oh my God. I'm like, that's it. That's how my body wants to move. Not in the gym, not walking, but my medicine, the way to really get the power in me to restore it, Argentinian tango. The intensity, the rootedness of the movement, the flow, the pause, the dramatic. Have you ever seen true Argentinian tango? It's almost like you're watching two people have sex with all their clothes on. You can feel like you're watching the things and you're like, oh my God, should I look away? Should I give them some privacy? Like, what the hell? So of course, now my head goes to, great, I want to do this Argentinian tango. It feels so alive in me. I don't have a partner. There's no classes in my neighborhood. There's nowhere to go. The closest one is an hour and a half away. What the hell now? Great spirit. You gave me the answer. You didn't give me the key. So then I'm like thinking, now there's more to this. What if I'm supposed to create the spaces What if I create the invitation to Argentinian tango for one first? Because you can't dance with a partner if you don't know how the energy moves through your body. An Argentinian tango is not a rehearsed dance. There's no choreography. It's about feeling the music and the movement so deeply that it comes out through your body as an expression. So I've been dancing for the past 2 days.
I love it.
I started allowing myself to go down the rabbit hole, understand where the Argentinian tango came from, the roots of it. My one line as a 1-3, I wanted to know all the facts. I wanted to know about the history. Where did it came from? How did it start? Where was it most popularly danced? I wanted to know what it was mixed with. What was it born from? I started looking at it as a whole and then breaking apart my one line, breaking apart each thing and looking at it separately. And I found, ironically enough, that Argentinian tango is actually created by 3 different styles.
Wow. Oh, wow.
Well, hot damn, that's why my body wanted to do the Argentinian tango.
I love it.
Because I was bringing together, bridging the gap in my physical body of 3 individual components. So now back to you. How do I do it? First, you start with finding a way to move your body that honors both parts of your split.
Okay.
You get to know which voice likes which movement. And you find an activity that bridges those together. For me, it's Argentinian tango. For you, it could be pickleball. Maybe you're bridging together tennis and whatever the heck pickleball is. I don't know. I know it's a thing. I'm not talking bad about pickleball, y'all. You know, maybe it's jazzercise, maybe it's yoga or Pilates or yoga lattes, whatever that looks like. But just know that when you are trying different movements, when you find the right one, you will feel fully activated in your body. You will feel such a presence that you have never felt before in your life. And here's the thing, you might not find it right away. Or maybe you do. Maybe as I'm talking to you, there's this thing, oh yeah, you know, remember we've been saying we want to try this. And if that's clearly the case, there's clearly something that wants to be tried. What is it that wants to be?
Yoga.
Mm-hmm. So that's where you start.
Yeah, yoga. Absolutely. Like it's almost been like annoying.
That's where you start.
Yeah.
And you can start simple. You can start by finding music to set the mood, putting your own yoga mat out, lighting a candle, doing the movement in your house. If not being able to find a studio or have the time.
No, I have one that she actually invites me every week. And I'm like, yeah, I'm busy.
Yeah. You're going to class this week. But that's where you start. You start by getting into the body. Now, what happens is when you do an exercise like yoga, okay, you begin, and this is such a beautiful part. This is what the rooted one. So now we're going to just work with the rooted one. You begin to be able to develop a thing called active listening. What active listening is when you can listen so deeply in your body with presence that life moves through you in other ways. Now, in order to activate active listening, you have to establish an internal framework, a practice, right? So think about it like this. If your mind speaks Spanish and your body speaks English, you need to create a space where there's room for the translation, right? So say, for example, say every day around 3 o'clock, your right shoulder gets really tight. You know it. In the moment, you maybe kind of stretch it out. You keep going every day. Creating an active practice where you can begin to understand where the translation can actually happen. When you're in yoga, when you're in that move, right? Then you'll be able to listen to your body and you'll be able to say, oh, so my shoulder is being active at 3 o'clock every single day because maybe a movement I'm doing during the day, maybe I'm standing a lot, I'm shifting my weight on my left hip. So my right side is trying to overcompensate. So the right shoulder is actually coming from the left hip. It's actually not a shoulder pain at all. Right? But you learn that in yoga. You learn how to translate like, oh, so when I feel this, it's because this is tight. Or when I do this movement, it's because I've never used this muscle before. And so then what happens is that the act of yoga becomes a ritual, becomes a sacred practice for you to begin to learn what your body's actually been trying to tell you this whole time. Mm-hmm. You create the space where you get to actually be in your body. We'll just sit right there for a moment. Let it rest.
And it's so funny because as you're talking, like so much is coming up for me because I'm afraid to be in my body because when I was in my body before, I was a sex addict. And so I'm afraid to even like tap into that because I'm like, no, 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 no. Don't let her feel her body. Don't let her feel her feeling her body is dangerous. And
no, it's funny.
I need to know that I can feel my body and not go fuck everybody.
Right. And think about it like that. Like what's being released in there, right? You're in their body and you're this primal instinct. Oh, I gotta go. I can't hold it. It's gotta get it out. Need to feel good.
And right? I've shut it down. I've wrongfully incarcerated my body. Yeah.
So through movement, right? Yoga might not be the thing that allows you to actually feel in the body, but yoga may be the first step that allows you to learn to listen to the body and reestablish that trusting relationship with the body again.
Yeah.
Right? Because what needs to happen is like you're suppressing those primal sensual urges. You're suppressing the feminine, sensual, feminine, sacred, sexual energy. Yeah. But what happens when you're suppressing that? You're suppressing creative energy.
Yeah. I went from one end of the spectrum to the other. Mm-hmm. Like I went from being a whore to now I'm just like, you can't even feel your own body.
Right.
But you're right. It shut down my creativity.
But think about it like this though, right? We talk about the diet thing for a moment, right? And we talk about, and you as a coach in this way, if I were to come to you and I were to say, Emily, I fucked up. I ate a whole box of donuts. I'm going to fast now. You would tell me, no, don't do that. You're going to punish your body. Just go back to eating regular, just the next meal, jump right on it, right? Mm-hmm. That's what you would tell me?
Yeah.
I don't even have to.
Every time.
Right. But think about what you just did. Mm-hmm. You fasted your body. You first of all, you shunned her and you said that girl, that version, that woman is a whore.
Yep.
When really it was just this primal urge that you never knew about. We don't talk about that in society. Mm-hmm. We're real quick to call people, oh, you a hoe. You up on these streets under everybody, acting like not everyone around has a body count.
Well, and it was always like I felt out of my control. Like I
Right.
remember very specifically my cousin, she's my age, like 5 years older, and her husband, we were at her house, and it was late at night. The kids had gone to bed, and we were in the pool. My cousin, her husband, and me. And we're just drinking and we're just having a great time. And all of a sudden, my cousin goes, "You guys, I'm tired. I'm going to go to bed." And I was like, okay. And I get out of the pool and she goes, "What, you don't have to go to bed. You guys can hang out." And I was like, "No, you can't leave me alone with a dick. Like you can't. Like I'm no, you're going to bed. I'm going to bed." And she just started laughing and she was just like, "Thank you so much. Like that's so sweet that, I didn't even, it wasn't even on her radar." But I need to be able to trust myself in any situation. And all I did was I just locked that girl up because I just didn't trust her. And she needs to be trusted again.
And we've talked about this before, right? We've talked about how like that the shadow part of us having these urges in our life, and that we have to create a safe space for them to express themselves, right? And a lot of the times we've talked about this through kink, right? This urge to be tangled and tied, right? This urge to be restricted might show up in finances. So if we create a ritual or a practice where that part of us feels constricted and tied, then it creates the energetic space, right? That with partnered with discipline and skills and structure gives us the room now to create something new in our life, right? So we're waking this thing up knowing that we're going to have to give it an outlet. And that outlet has to go through sensual movement. It has to be moved in the body. Right? So first, give yourself permission to say, okay, it's going to be safe to wake this up because I'm going to create opportunities, right? Using your 4 line, I'm going to create opportunities for myself. I'm going to investigate. I'm going to look into different activities that will allow me to move my body in that way. Right?
Yeah, because as soon as I tried the restraint, and I didn't go very deep into it, but I tied my legs together with a belt. I instantly had a release of peace.
Right. Right. So now you get to experience that in a completely new way.
Yeah.
So, all right, I'm going to leave you there.
Okay.
I want you to reflect on all of this.
I want to go to the whimsical castle. I'm jealous you got to see it.
Now you get to go on the path of remembering. Because remember, you've already created, it's yours.
Yeah.
Sorry, I have little ones. Okay, so I'm going to leave you here. Are you ready?
Yeah, I'm ready. I'm ready.
All right, so let's start with this. So your body isn't broken. It's speaking to you. These shutdowns that you've experienced, they aren't failures. They are messages from your deepest intelligence saying, this is too much, too fast. And I need more spaciousness. I need more freedom. I need to move the walls in order to anchor in this power. You don't need to be less of anything. You don't need to be afraid of it because it's manifested in not so nice ways, right, in the past. You're not too much. You're actually too potent to keep trying to fit yourself inside containers that were never built for your magic to begin with. So this next season is going to be about listening, not fixing. You're not listening to fix, not to control it, right? You don't want to control the urges. but to trust the rhythm of your inner voice, your inner wave. To trust this desire to initiate, to do something, to touch something, this primal instinct to go. These two different voices, these two different desires, and trust the whole wave to process it and feel it all, however that looks like for you.
Okay.
You get to honor both voices in your design. You get to let your intensity move through sacred structure, move through your sacred structure. You are not to be manageable. You're not Play-Doh, right? Your structure doesn't have to be so loose that you over here walking around like Gumby. You are meant to be free and grounded and whole. So we're going to do, one of the things that you can practice with is a integration practice.
Okay.
Okay. We're going to call this one Anchor the Wave.
Ooh.
Right. So this is going to be the water. This is the water gate. And it's meant to help with that emotional authority, with the emotional wave.
Okay.
So this practice is designed to release amplified pressure, which for you comes in that open root. It's meant to restore balance after energetic burnout. So like after you feel like you've done too much and you're getting that fatigue. It's going to help you honor the emotional wave, which is your emotional authority. And it's going to support reconnection between the two split centers. So for this practice, step one, you got to ground the field. Okay. So you either sit down or lie down. You'll want to place one hand on your heart. And I can send you the directions if you just want to move through it with me, right?
Mm-hmm.
And one hand on your lower belly. Okay. And then what you'll say, either out loud or internally, whichever feels most correct for you. I am safe to be here.
I'm safe to be here.
I do not have to do anything.
I do not have to do anything.
I just get to listen.
I just get to listen.
And you will breathe into the space between your hands for 1 minute. This will allow you to just ground fully in the field. Step two is going to be the embodied voice integration.
Okay.
Okay. So on the right side of you, you will have the head voice and logical self. And then on the left side of you, you will have the heart, the body, and the feeling self. So head, voice, logic, heart, body, feeling. And you will allow yourself to be split in two.
Okay.
Head, voice, logic, heart, body, feeling. You will ask both sides at the same time, what do you want me to know right now?
Okay.
Now, in my meditations, I do this laying down. I have a neck pillow. I ask when my head is face forward, the microphone is on, and I'm speaking to both sides.
Okay.
What do you want me to know right now? Then with my eyes closed, I lean my head to the right, over the shoulder, and I listen. And so I let that right side, the head, the voice, and the logic, answer. Whatever thoughts come forward, I just listen to them. I don't try to make sense of them. I don't try to integrate them right away. I don't try to say, where is that coming from? I just listen. And either it'll stop or it'll begin to repeat the same things over again, and I'll acknowledge it. And so then I move back to the center. Right? And then I'll ask it again. What do you want me to know right now? And I move to the left. The same thing. I listen to the heart, to the body, to the feeling.
I love
Okay.
that.
Right. This just allows me to just be the listener. Once that's done, once you've heard both sides, you'll move to step 3. Step 3 is the root and flow yoga sequence.
Okay.
Okay. So what you'll do is gentle somatic sequence for the split definition. So first you'll start with a child's pose, just surrendering completely to the earth itself. Then you'll begin with cat and cow to reconnect the head and the tail. So it'll bridge your upper and lower centers. You're going to create the bridge for yourself. Then you'll move into a low lunge, rooting down into power. And you'll breathe, stand up, and then you'll go straight into a lower fold, a forward low fold, surrendering the pressure. Then maybe you'll go up to a wall and you'll put your legs on the wall, laying flat back down. This allows a complete release of the nervous system. And then you'll just sit doing these seated neck rolls in both directions. And it'll just be a gentle release of pressure in the skull. This will help the left brain and throat relief. It'll help bring it all together. Stay in each pose for 3 to 5 breaths. This is not meant to be quick, like a big quick flow. Mm-hmm. Slow and elongated. Feel into each one. Give each pose permission to speak. When you're finished, you kind of come to the thunderbolt position where you're on your knees, hands on your thighs. And repeat 3 times, either out loud or in your head. I honor the wisdom in my wave. Mm. I am not here to be less. I am here to be true. My energy is sacred, and I choose to trust it. What you'll want to do once a day, at least for the next 7 days, is get in this practice. Okay. Doesn't matter how hard it is. Doesn't matter if you start to feel the things. Be with your body anyway. I know you're feeling really crappy right now, but I want to do this to hear why.
Yeah.
Even if it takes you longer to get through it, do it anyway. Pause when you need to. Slow when you need to. Because what you have to do is you have to learn how to retrust. The body has to trust you that you're not going to shut it down. And you have to trust the body that it's not going to put you in harm's way. Both sides. It's going to take time. It's going to be like a dance. And that's where we'll leave you. Okay. And we'll revisit this again soon. We'll check back in and see how this is going.
So every day for 7 days.
For 7 days.
Okay.
Give yourself some space.
You have my word that I will do this. And I am giving my word to you, but I'm giving my word to me.
Right.
Okay.
Is there anything, questions, comments, things that are coming up?
No.
Things that want awareness, things that want to be spoken on?
I'm just in awe of you. I'm in awe of us and what we're creating and the I don't know what it is, the lack of vulnerability that we have to just have these conversations public. I'm just so damn proud of us.
Right.
Um, I'm really, really proud of us
Me
because
too.
I I know how and you know, maybe it was just being with you this weekend, and just feeling your long hugs. I know there's so much love there. So I'm excited to share this. All right.
Yeah, me too. Well, namaste.
Namaste.
The light in me sees the light in you. And just like you'll be moving your body, I will be moving my body. And I cannot wait to see how this plays out for both of us. Okay. So
All
we'll
right.
talk soon.
All right. Bye.